share this? Yeah. Yeah, so for anybody who's coming into the stream, I have a script that's basically going through and doing MCP server submissions for the MCP Manager website. And so we're letting it sort of do its thing. What you probably don't see or you won't see is the entire like Puppeteer script, because that like pops up some browsers randomly, right? So save all the flickering of the page and all that. We're not, or at least I don't know how to make it do that, because since those browsers pop up on their own. But making progress. Let's see if I can add a browser source. And then we're going to pick the MCP Manager site. We'll pop it up from time to time, but we'll leave it behind there for now. Take that out. Just pop it up as we need it. But we're sort of just letting this thing run the script, because basically what it's doing is I have it set to go to a number of repositories that are out on GitHub. And what it's doing is basically going to those pages, and it's looking to see if they would qualify to be shown on the MCP Manager website. And so you're going to see stuff happening here on the right where, it's sort of doing a check, because it's got to go to the repository, it's got to go look at the content, and there's certain things that I have it checking for just to see if it meets the criteria to be even submitted to MCP Manager. When I first started writing, or at least having AI write this script, I had to go through a little bit of a massage process because it wasn't writing descriptions well. And so we had to work on getting that sort of, working. And I just want to make sure, yeah, so it's using my Shure microphone. Okay, just want to make sure. Sure, yeah, what a great word. So we're going to let this thing just keep plugging away. I could have it sort of swarm it, but I would rather just keep an eye that the submission quality is good. And just kind of let it go from there. For some reason, YouTube still shows the REST CSV things. Is there a way that I can edit that? Yes. I thought I had one for Vibe. Where is it? I know I had one. Is it on my desktop? Let that script run. I'm trying to find that thumbnail because it's showing the REST CSV one from the stream I did like last year. I saved that image. Oh, is it on the backup one? I bet it's in the backup one. Yup. There it is. All right, let's see here. So we're going to go, because I haven't been keeping up with everything. So YouTube one is there. We will approve. And we're going to say the latest where it's approved is false. All right, so that one. Yep, keep it up to date. Where is approved is false. And that should put, yes, so far so good. So let's go try to find the one before that. So we're going to delete that one because I already got it. Some of these I might have to come back to. Proceed. That one didn't qualify. We're going to spot check this one just to be sure. Nope, it made the right decision. Good, 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 good. That gives us the confidence. All right, so we should get a little puppeteer pop-up. Come on. Oh, it's got to analyze. Never mind. Because in the first version, the code that it wrote, it was going and then trying to one-shot it over to the website. And the problem is that it was writing sort of junk descriptions. So I had to let it kind of create its own process for going to determine the script that it was going to write. And then sort of let it, let it do that. Submission successful. Let's go to the command line. And Apple shortcuts. Yes, we will approve. And of course, if maybe I could toggle it on over here. So if I turned off, turn off display capture and browser, what's going on here? I got too many. Where's the browser source? Why is, okay. So getting a little website update. Let's see if we can edit this, because this has been a minute since I've ever done any of this stuff. Oh gosh, that looks like shit. Well, we're just not going to show that then. We're going to go back to just doing screen capture with Mac. Accept that change because I'm keeping a little bit of a log just to see kind of what's going on. Hopefully everybody's having a good weekend. All right, so that one did not qualify. Just do a little spot check just to be sure. Yep. It's doing the job I gave it to do, which is sort of an interesting feeling. Because you think about it, like if you had to write the script to do everything this is doing, it would have took you a little bit of time. But the upside is with AI, it it does a decent job of getting the job done. The big holdup that a lot of developers have is that they expect the code quality to be that of a senior dev, and just like any issue in life or business, you got to realize that the the code is just a pathway, right? Meaning that if you had, let's say you have a business, right, and you have like senior devs, high salaries, everything, you can't you're not going to be able to charge more money on the premise that, oh, it's TDD and all this other stuff. So you have to focus with vibe coding to be on the deliverable. Well, don't get me wrong, you still got to take things into account, such as, you know, safety or the security of the code, and make sure you're not exposing things, the basics. But in terms of everything outside of that, you got to realize you're just trying to achieve a mission, and that's business. And so this is going to be the thing, because this is the reason why I say that the MCP movement is basically our crypto. It's our Bitcoin. And the thing is, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to come into this maybe a month from now, and they're going to realize how much how far they were late to the party. And hold on, I got to spot check this one. Okay. Oh, so it's writing a summary. Never mind. It's writing a summary. I'm mistaken. So if you're here and you're watching, leave me a message in the chat. Let's chat. If not, I'll just talk to myself and sip on coffee. But back to what I was talking about is, the MCP and this ability to build apps with like Firebase Studio or WindServer or whatever, we're going to see an explosion of applications, going to be on the web, and it's going to get pretty crazy. It's going to get exciting, and I hope everybody shows up to the party, because once AI has gotten writing code like really good, and the crazy thing is that the AI that we experience right now is the worst AI that we will ever experience. And even with it being at its quote unquote worst, it's getting a lot of stuff done, and for the most part fairly well. So think about a world where you can just have an idea and you can make it happen. That will be possible. Everything that you do or could do, you're going to be doing from one interface. So think about, like, if you're using like Claude Desktop, and like think about you being able to work on a marketing proposal, anything you can imagine, and while on top of that, order a coffee, and you would never leave your screen. That's the power that MCP is going to provide. And all the tech people, such, I'm myself included in this, it's like when you first get into it and you realize the protocols that are really making it happen, you're like, oh, it's just a wrapper for blah, 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 blah. And they try to make it seem insignificant when in fact the AI is truly the most significant piece. It's like it's able to figure out how to work with whatever the tool is that's underlying, and know what parameters to give it and in what structure and those sort of things. But that's, and the thing is, you think of like MCP as almost being like your N8N, your Zapier, your Make.com, and you could just do that from an MCP client. And then if you already use N8N, for example, you could introduce that through an AI layer. And any workflows that you already have, you'll be able to tap into those with MCP as well, because N8N has MCP support just like Zapier does now. If you host N8N on your local, they now have the MCP support where you don't actually have to use a community node to achieve it. So it's native now. So the thing is that you're going to be able to automate just like everything you can just imagine. And the people that figure out how to use it to automate, to do all that, they're going to be the ones that are going to change their lives. They're going to free up more of their time. They're going to get way more stuff done. And so I would say to anybody, do not sleep on this protocol. And the thing is, don't even look at it as a protocol. Look at it as a pathway to getting stuff done, right? They should. Oh, so this thing is still checking. Come on, how long are you gonna take to check? I wonder if they got I wonder if there's a lot of stuff on this GitHub page. Let's check it out. API 6. There's a little bit of stuff on there, but it should have produced something by now, but we're going to let that thing keep running. But if you are doing any sort of MCP development, MCP servers are great, but I think where the money is going to be is when you do MCP client development. So it's like if you build your own Claude desktop, because, you know, an MCP client doesn't necessarily have to be a thing to where it can do anything in the world. If you build MCP clients that just focus on, we'll say, a certain type of job or something, and then you could allow to have the MCP servers that could get those tasks completed, you will have a pathway to make money. So the thing is, MCP servers are great. I'm all in on MCP servers, but if you want to see to it that you can like build a business, try to get in on the MCP client side. The Model Context Protocol.io website has code that you can use to do this. Gosh, that thing is taking forever. And it's probably, and the other thing I noticed is that whenever the script is ending, I still have a bunch of Chromium things sort of still open. It shouldn't be doing that. It should actually be closing them. So what we're going to do is, after we get through this, we're going to instruct it to just make sure that it closes the Chromium browser, because right now I got like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, 13. Yeah, it shouldn't be doing that. Keeping an eye out. I'm probably going to have to intervene on this thing here in a second. I'm going to make a note of it. Let's stop for a second. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to kill all these Chromiums, because that's way too many, and that there's so many that I can't even scroll to. Jeez, I'm gonna have to do these in chunks. Okay, so we're just gonna do those 3. I'm gonna kill Slack because it's my day off. Kill those. Kill these. And I know you can't see this right now, but I got Activity Monitor open, and I'm sort of like going through here killing all these excessive Chromium. I noticed when Puppeteer is done that there are still Chromiums running on my machine. Can we make sure those are closed? And so we're going to give this thing just a little bit of an instruction to go in here and just try to make sure. Of course, now it's going to go run that command, but it's not going to probably find any. Or playwright, I'm sorry. But no, I don't want you to. Okay, it's going to look for headless Chrome. Okay. I had closed them manually. Okay, Okay, so I don't need to send that message, but it gets the idea what we're trying to achieve. And then we're going to sort of see the code here in a second that the code change is going to make. So child process. Okay, so it's going to try to do its best now. And then it's updating the other command because that one too, I guess, does a session. Okay, so now we're going to say let's, okay. Oh, copy paste is just a pain. Retry the last one we worked on. And what was the name of that one? API 6. Yep, so it knows. So it's going to go and try to reprocess that one, and we'll see how well it does. Yep, so it went. So we're going to let it run that. That's going to open the browser. It's going to submit it to the MCP server or to the MCP Manager website. Now it didn't. Did it submit? Failed to resubmit with a better description. Looks like an encounter with the submission. And the script was successful. Try again. Roughly modified approach. Okay. Of course, that's the cool thing about AI is that, you know, as it learns the process and stuff, it sort of knows how to navigate, you know, making changes. So let that thing do its thing. And then at some point this weekend, I'm going to tackle getting the MCP server search and the whole list thing into the MCP Manager desktop app, so that way you can discover basically every server that is going to be listed in the directory to make it to where it'll show up in MCP Manager. It's like a one-click install, because what it'll do is it'll take what's here and then in the config, and it'll automatically inject it and sort of make, you know, life easier. And then that way you can sort of just more easily just get cranking away with whatever it is you're going to do. All right, so it's going to try this again. So what you can't see is that Puppeteer and all that's opening. I wonder if there's a way with Restream, if there's a way that I could do browser source. Well, no, not a browser source, but okay, we're gonna let this thing submit again. Go check my stuff because it's trying to get it to submit, and you see it sort of tried and it didn't work. And so the question sort of is why? Because it says failed to resubmit with a better description. I don't see anything wrong there. I'm kind of curious as to what the issue is. So how about we do this? We're going to go forward, MCP Manager.app. I guess it thinks the issue is the, I'm going to do a little tracking of the log. So I don't have anything in the logs, so at least things with the The app seemed to be fine. We're going to let this thing try to submit this again. It's not filling out the form. What'd you do, AI? You broke something? What'd you break? Yeah, it's not filling it out. I'm going to see if I can get this thing to where it will show I need it to do a window capture. We're going to add source. We're going to call this Chromium. If it will let it. No. I think it'll only let it happen if it's open. Yeah, we won't worry about that. There's nothing I can really do about that. Unless I can just share part of my screen. Either part. And we're going to tell it to proceed. If it messes up again, we're going to have it look at the script for submitting it to the site. But so if you're just coming into the stream, basically what we have going on is I have a script that I wrote that's going to go and grab the details of various MCP servers. And it's going to see if they qualify to actually be submitted to the MCPManager.app website. And so what it does, there's obviously a list of GitHub repos. So like this one, it looked at it and determined that it would qualify. So what it's going to do now is that it's going to go to that repository and it's going to try to generate a good description, because originally this thing was writing horrible or very limited descriptions. So it's actually going to the repo. It's going to go build that, and then once it does it, it then submits it to the MCPManager.app website, and then I'll turn around and approve it on MCP Manager, so that way it's listed. So now it's going to try to submit it, and this is the part where on the last one, at least when it popped up the browser in Playwright, see, like right now it popped up the browser. You can't see this right now, but it's not filling out the form. I see the browser open, but it's not filling out the form. And so odds are there's probably something that it messed up, and we're just going to let it be aware of it. It's currently open. So we're going to have it try again. All right, yep, so it filled it out then. All right, so that worked. Awesome, 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 awesome. So now I can go to my list. Oh, the latest ID is 25? What? Let's see something here. I'm on my site. Maybe we have done that many. I didn't realize it had been that many. So we're going to approve. And so if I were to delete that. Yeah, we're going to remove Chromium. God, why does that look like that? We're just going to remove that node. And then we're going to try to add a window capture. And we're going to call this Chrome, so that way you can sort of see. We'll try to get this, try to get it resized. No, it's not the one I'm trying to, okay. We're going to make this bigger. How does that look? So if I go to the MCP server list, you'll see that new one, Prisma, is now there, and that config is available. So we will turn off Chrome, let that run. We're going to do the next one. If you're in the chat, say hello. How's your day going? Are you building anything? If so, what are you building? Maybe I can check it out. And so far, the browser cleanup process that it's doing for Playwright does seem to be doing well. So it's looking at the file scope, MCP. We'll see if it qualifies. It does not, because not everything that says MCP is going to go on the site. Right now, we're just trying to focus on the MCP servers, and particularly the ones that use NPX to get installed, because my customer, technically, I want to be the non-developer. I want to be the person who just like, I heard about this MCP thing. I want to be able to do XYZ tasks and just create a pathway for them to be able to easily get these into their system and just start working without having to have an abundance of technical knowledge. All right, so it's gonna go get a description for the iTerm MCP server. We still got a little ways to go, people. Many tools to look at. And you see the description it wrote? iTerm MCPs provide seamless. God, I hate when that thing jumps like that. So we're going to let it go submit that. Submission is complete. So now if I were to, so I'm going to go back here and we're going to flip back on Chromium. And then I'm going to go to MCP servers, and then I'm going to approve it. And then when I hit refresh, there's interim MCP. Check that out. Isn't that awesome? Pretty cool. And so everyone that it submits, it creates a submission log that it just tracks, just to make sure that, you know, or at least so that I'm aware of what it submitted and what it didn't submit. And so this list is going to obviously get bigger, but it has the ones that it didn't list as well. So that way it's a good little audit process for me. And so last night, I launched the MCP Manager app. It's the first desktop app I've ever done, and I chose to do it with the native PHP framework, if you will, to where you can basically build Mac apps, and they're coming out with a way to do mobile phone apps that use PHP as the underlying language. So, typically people are so accustomed to doing React Native, Native Script, those sort of things, and you're going to soon be able to do that just with PHP. It's going to be crazy. I just think it's just so amazing that you can just tell AI what to do and it's just gonna go do it. And see, the beautiful thing is like if you're a developer, like man, what was it when I discovered vibe coding? I went and I got a subscription to Windsurf, and that Saturday I just gave myself a goal to just build something. And when I say I 100x'd my output, I was sold. Like I get it. Of course, there's nuances you got to get used to, ways to approach certain things, but for the most part, like once you sort of realize that you manage the AI like a project manager, right? And there's just like in life, context matters, things like that. The people that will likely fail are the people trying to one shot every single thing. You will soon learn that you need to have a good get strategy. And so what I do is like if I give it a task, typically if I'm building like an app that I plan on putting out, I have this changelog process. So in the changelog there'll be like a task, and then once it completes that task, no matter how small, it will immediately commit that to Git. And then once it completes all the tasks, then it will actually tag it as a version. And so that way, as you go through this, because eventually this thing will sort of, for a lack of better terms, go off the rails. I think that has a lot to do with the context window. Because it seems like, because, if you sit here and say, like, man, we go back a little bit of a ways. And the moment this context window starts getting too large, you'll start seeing a little bit of glitches. But the upside is with these language models, they're actually soon going to be able to almost remember everything you ever say to it. Like it's going to, and they're already doing that. Like they're already starting to achieve that. It's just getting into a production environment to where you can benefit from it. Is sort of the thing that's we're gonna wait to happen. Come on. Part of me wants to try to let this thing do more of them at one time, but I think we're just gonna have to do it one by one just to be sure. Forgive me for the moment. I'm just getting caught up on social media. Jeez, why is that taking so long? Let's update you. Let's see. Well, it has the. Okay, I'm just going to tell this thing to proceed. I think it somewhat froze. And that's the other thing about Windsurf. Sometimes you'll think that it's doing stuff and it's actually not, and you really got to pay attention to this whole. Oh wow, I never noticed this before. So yeah, 2 hours of. So I've been at it. Okay, so we got one that's going to qualify. Nice, nice, nice. was that noise on my computer just now? I don't know. And so for those just coming to the stream, what we're doing is I'm just letting AI do a bunch of browser automation just to get some data into the MCP Manager.app website, because I have a server directory that I'm evolving. And so I have a list of MCP servers, or at least what's labeled as MCP servers on GitHub. And I'm sort of going through those and determining, one, if they even qualify to go on the website. Because for me, and I'm going to switch over this to where y'all can see what I'm talking about, is currently I like the servers that you can run with NPX. That sort of makes it super easy to just get it into your system and run it. You don't necessarily need to manually compile with Node or anything like that. So if you have NPX, it's an MCP server, and you have a config file, for the most part, you're going to qualify to get into the MCP Manager app. And as you see, we've been sort of doing this. And so not every server is going to qualify, but it's going to go through this little checks and balances process. And if something qualifies, then it sends it up. So it just... So did it submit it? Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Okay, so it did submit it. So I'll flip back over here to Chrome, and I'm going to go in and manually approve. And then if I hit refresh, there's MCP server commands. And so just like that, we got stuff into the website. Pretty cool. Update the submission logs, so that way I have an audit trail. Because eventually I'm going to have it reference what's already been submitted. That way, if you go to a different list and the same servers that you already have is on somebody else's list, that it'll not consider it. All right, so this one's going to qualify, so it's going to pop up the Chromium browser. Oh wait, it's first got to get the description. That's the part that really matters, is getting a good description, because the way he was writing the description at the start was just junk. Pure junk. But more than likely, I could have probably mitigated that earlier with a better prompt. But that's sort of the things is, it's like if you're a developer, you're given a task, and a lot of times you'll run into stuff during the task and you need guidance. And so the foresight is important. That's going to save you the least amount of headaches. But hindsight's 20/20. Foresight typically is not. But I do plan on working on a tool to where we can sort of write better tasks and things like that. All right, so that one's submitted. So we're gonna go do a. Just gonna look at it. Looks good. We're gonna go back to the servers, and there it is. And just like that, we're making progress. But eventually, everything that you see here is going to be made available inside the MCP Manager desktop app. And what we can probably do to save a little bit of headache. No, every time I go to move something, it grabs the wrong thing. I just want it to... I was hoping to see if I could lay them out side by side, but maybe that's not the way to do this. Back it up. There we go. And back to normal. If you're enjoying the stream, give me a like. Start a little poll in the chat. So I need to go do some stuff, so I'm going to have to jump off here for a moment. I'll probably be back in